The opinions expressed on the following audio program are solely those of the host and the guests. Burner Podcast is an independently produced, not-for-profit show and is not associated with the Burning Man organization or its subsidiaries. The views expressed are not representative of the entire Burning Man community and are presented here for entertainment purposes only. In short, calm the fuck down. It's just a podcast.
Hey, it's episode number 122, and it is 10 days till the man burns as of this recording. Yes. The man burns virtually. He burns in backyards all over the world, and it's only 10. And it still feels weird to not be in this last-minute packing and building mode, as I'm sure you've noticed. I took some time off from this show. It's been a kind of a doozy of a year for me. Lots of travel and some ups and downs and lots of changes and transitions in relationships and living situations and locations. And I just wrapped my first ever photography show in San Diego, which I absolutely had no frame of reference for. What an emotionally vulnerable experience that was going to be. So yeah, a lot has been happening, to be honest. And I was strongly considering taking some more time off from this show. But it just hit me that so many of you listeners have told me on many occasions that it's right around burn time that you most strongly feel a desire to tune in to this show. And with Burning Man not officially happening again this year, I felt like the chats like the one that you're about to hear right now are exactly the thing that most of us are craving and missing the most in our lives because we're all missing home. So yes, giggles in the background. That's all good. And there are a plethora of stories that I am excited about exploring from the past couple of years in our community, coming out of this very long era of isolation for so many of us. It is more important at time now than ever to check back in with our community. So I just kind of scrolled through my text messages, and the first asshole who responded got booked on the podcast.
Who would that be?
I'm just kidding. Sort of.
Sort of.
What does he say? He said Felicia was like, what? He wants us back?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I'm sitting across from Travmo, Felicia, Jesse Severns, and their designated person of color, Kras Javier. Core operating members of Perky Parts Camp, based out of Orange County, mostly. You listeners were introduced to these train wrecks all the way back in episode number 41. The episode of this podcast, which has the dubious designation of being the most I have ever edited an interview on this show. Interviews are very rarely edited, by the way, mostly out of laziness, to be honest. But we, myself fully included, said some really dumb shit on that drunken rant of a show. So this one will not be edited, ideally. So maybe let's control some of our drinking.
Absolutely not.
Which we're gonna catch up on all that. Perky Parts has been up to, what it was like to village with Carl Cox's massive playground camp a couple of years ago when I camped with them, and their adventures building and bringing the camel art car to this last burn. What was the name of it?
Humpy.
Humpy the camel. And then after the chat, we will be treated to a fun and playful set by Berlin-based DJ Guto Serta. This was a daytime set from Thursday of Burning Man 2019. It was recorded at Favela Camp. It's politically incorrect. And that's coming up after today's chat. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. Today's episode, let's get perky.
Perky,
yeah.
122.
We what is it? We don't know how to pace ourselves. Today's episode is entitled Perky Parts Unknown.
That's right. We're entitled.
You like that? It's like a Anthony Bourdain reference. Anyway, I go by Mr. Arash, even though nobody calls me Mr. Welcome to Burner Podcast.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There were sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with the balls and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name.
I like the Trav right now. Like started to turn off his mic and put it down. I know,
He was reaching for the pickle juice.
Yeah, I can dig it. I think there was a very specific sound that you hear right as the last interview starts. It's very different.
Caught me a little off guard.
That's when my parents turned the podcast off.
Was it that? Because that was actually the first note that I had about your parents listening to that episode, and like the very first thing you hear is a lot of very not amazing. Oh, the backup recorder was on pause. Okay. That's okay. It was just the intro. Fun fact. The only other episode that is also tagged with Perky Parts on the previous episode's listing is the one with Father Brian Baker, the Episcopal priest whose sermon on Burning Man went viral. And he camped with you guys his first couple of burns.
Yeah.
And then he founded the camp Religious as Fuck.
Yep.
I just got the chills when you mentioned Brian. I mean, he's just such a powerful person.
Yeah.
I mean, him stumbling into our camp. His daughter had camped with us previously, Laura, and so she brings him out, and there was a bit of a warning. She's like, "Hey guys, my dad's coming out." She didn't know what to think.
Yeah.
We were all open arms, man. We were all for it, and he came out. He rode his motorcycle out, and
That's right.
Remember, she pulled up on his bike,
Yeah.
and it just a huge ball of love, man. This guy, he touched us from the moment he pulled up until the moment he left, each and every time, even after going and starting his own camp. He's still been involved. He stayed at my house. I mean, he stayed over here, took us all to dinner. He's an incredible man.
Yeah, no, he's really amazing. And I think like it's particularly hilarious because like you have, I think each one of these episodes of the show like give you a pretty good snapshot of like the camp's like culture and energy. And you guys are ridiculous. And it's like of all the camps that you think about on Playa where like the priest would go and camp with and then decide like that he's become a better Christian for it. Perky Parts was not the one you think
We will
about.
drive you to whatever religion it is that you need. You will need Jesus after a weekend with us.
It was great. I heard
Facts.
when I camped with you that year that you villaged with Playground, I remember his wife was sitting there and I was like, how was this experience for you? How's it going? She's like, I mean, I don't know. I did some time in Afghanistan. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, she was great too.
Yeah.
Two equally amazing individuals that came together and decided to camp with us. So when something like that happens, it's kind of like a reminder that you're doing something right.
Yeah. Hold the mics closer.
And even more so, because that was a year that Carl had kind of recruited us with him. And that was kind of a year that everything came together for us. And it's been all downhill since then. But that was really a year where people started to like look at us.
We're peaking.
Yeah. Peaky Parts, man. But that was, I remember Brian had given a TED Talk that year, and he was going around the camp pretty much all week and just kind of practicing and working out all the kinks of his speech. And you could tell he was super nervous about it and I think this one was at, where did he give that one?
It was a TED Talk
It was like the TED Talk camp. They were doing all the TED Talks there.
Yeah.
Remember, it ran late. He did like a practice speech with all of us, and we had the Fern Gully at the time.
It was White Wednesday. I remember because everyone was wearing white and covered in red wine.
Travis.
I couldn't quit crying. That one got me good, man.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Well, because we all went over there because he was telling us what time it was. And of course, in Burning Man fashion, everything was running late. So he felt bad that we were all kind of just sitting around waiting to, hear him. So he was like, why don't you guys all huddle around and I'll just do it for you guys right now. And it ended up being awesome because we got our own private TED Talk and, we were part of the story that he was talking about. And then he got like a full warm up with a crowd of people before he did it.
Nice.
And then we went off and partied.
Unconditional love, right? Remember? Unconditional love.
That's amazing. Yeah. I think the last time that we sat down to record, it was right before that year, right?
I think so.
Yeah, actually, I think it was probably like on this day.
Yeah.
Let's see, 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
So
Well, it wasn't on this day because we would have been like
I think it was. I think
this close to Burning Man?
Yeah, I think it was right after you had packed. We had all started packing up and going.
No shit. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe
and
2 weeks before. It was right around this time, though.
Well, I remember there was the conversation about the art car And I was like, so tell me about the art car. Like, what was the inspiration behind it? Matt's like, I just kind of Googled, like, what's a easy, fast art car to do? And that's what we did. I'm like,
The
oh,
Pontiac.
it's very anticlimactic.
Yeah. Well, then we tried to go bigger, and it was the same kind of ideas went through. What's the easiest way to get an art car done in, a short period of time? So our creativity has also been peaking for years, but with Humpy, we were kind of just going through, and we spent weeks. We had bought the bus.
Yeah.
I saw the bus on a Craigslist or a burner classified ad, and this guy named Maximus Wilhammer, who's like an inventor for Discovery Channel and like a fabricator and burner.
Mad scientist, welder,
Definitely mad scientist.
just a freak. I love him. Thank you, Max.
And so I saw he had this bus listed for like $6,000, and I sent it to one of our other campmates, and I said, dude, we should buy this bus. And within like 3 hours, he sends me a message. He says, I bought the bus. And we were like, cool. Like, what are we going to do on it? What are we going to turn it into? What's the idea? And we didn't have anything in mind. Like the best idea, we were going to put like an ice cream machine on top and like serve soft serve. And everyone's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You need to be better than that.
Plus, there's already one out there that does that.
There's already an ice cream cone machine?
Yeah.
Yeah, that car sucks.
So weeks after trying to figure it out, and like, we were calling collectives that weld and fabricate art cars, all over LA and Las Vegas, and couldn't really come up with anything. And then one day we're just kind of like, well, what's a desert creature that isn't out there that we haven't seen out there? And then the idea, and we were, we really wanted to incorporate our camp into it. So the idea of Humpy came to us just because, obviously like the camel belongs in the desert and it's such a natural habitat for it. And it just kind of became natural from there. And then of course we ran into like 3 different camel art cars that year.
So original.
Wait, I don't remember seeing one.
Oh yeah. We were going through the DMV and a little mini one pulled up next to us.
I was
Little
there.
baby camel.
They were following us around for a
Oh,
while.
that's right, the baby camel. That's
So
right.
for-
They
for-
kept finding us.
For the listeners right now, you got to picture like the biggest school bus that you can buy. It's an old international school bus. The thing is mechanically sound. It's a tank, man.
Yeah.
It's a giant, heavy machine that has just got racks like Mad Max style welded to it. Huge deck up on the top. Extended the rear out with this crazy cage with bike racks, and I mean it's a behemoth of a machine, and it was just painted silver. It's just this giant silver bus, and our partner had bought it, and the dream of the camel had kind of come to life. And I don't know, do we want to get into picking it up and the whole ride up there?
Oh man.
I want to get into all that.
That's a story in itself, man.
Yeah.
So,
Fuck it. Let's dive into it.
So Chase, buys the bus. These guys dream up the camel idea, and so Maximus puts him to work designing, fabricating this giant camel head that's going to extend with this neck. So, in theory, this neck and this head would lay up on the deck, and it would just kind of, click, 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 extend out, and you'd have this giant, camel breathing fire, and all this. You know how that works.
Obviously, it's like what camels do.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I wanted to do like a smoking Joe camel with like a cigarette or like a joint. That would have been cool.
Amanda wanted to do it spitting.
A spinning camel.
Oh.
That would've been
Shoot
awesome.
water out of the mouth.
That's pretty excellent.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so like I get the call one day because they need an extra driver to go pick this thing up. And it's in a beautiful Olancha, California.
Yeah, what a town.
Where's that?
It's like outside
in
of
the middle of
Barstow,
nowhere.
No,
$3.95.
it's way up there. So where Mount Whitney is,
Okay.
the portal to Mount Whitney on your way up to like Bishop. So it's up in that area.
Okay.
So it was out $3.95 all the way up. A few hour drive for us to get up there. And so we get up there, and Maximus is living in a how would you describe that?
like a
Compound?
legit like desert compound. He had a bunch of other buses and converted like RVs and stuff that were all kind of circled up, and he was living out of, each one was kind of its own designated room, and he was living there full time. I don't know, probably like 6 or 7 different vehicles that he was.
Yeah, full like
Working on
neon lights at night, like full neon lights at night, just like his own little burner community out of all the different buses he's built, and he's living in them. And he's got this one that he's working on for us, and it was like it came down to the wire, man. Like we came to pick that thing up, and he's literally like welding and just give me a minute, and he's running around, and it was like, oh shit, like this is happening, man. And so we picked this thing up. It's got the entire passenger side has been cut out, which would be the exit. The speakers would point out the side of the bus, and we didn't have any walls for it to drive it home. So Trav brought some earmuffs. And we're driving this thing home like the UPS guy with the door open, but it's the entire side of the bus.
Yeah, and by the way, as we're driving it off, so it's important to note that we bought the thing sight unseen, and basically Chase had just asked for a video of him starting the bus up, so he knew it ran. And he goes, cool, sold. So we get out there, and we weren't sure what kind of condition it was going to be in, and basically it was just painted silver, like with a roller, like a silver rolling brush. And the whole side of it's cut out, and he goes, by the way, it goes really slow up hills, and it overheats. We go, okay, great. So, I don't know, we're a couple hours from home. It ended up taking us like 9.5 hours to drive it home. It goes about 10 miles an hour max up a hill.
9.5 hours.
It was so brutal, and if there's no headlights.
Yeah.
So
you could only drive a day.
Well, we didn't know that until I go to flip the headlights on, and they're not turning on. So I basically drove it home in the dark, just waiting to get pulled over because the entire side of the bus is cut out of it, and people are just doing triple takes when they're coming by. They're going, oh my God, like what is up with that bus? And anytime it overheats, anytime it gets over about 220 degrees, it just starts beeping with the red light flashing at you. So the entire drive home, there's no radio, and it's just this beep, 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 beep for about 9 hours straight. And no headlights. So we finally get it to my work where I was parking it for a couple weeks. We had our buddy Nick come over and
that's here in Orange County.
Yeah, it's at UCI campus, which, believe it or not, they're cool with burner cars at UCI.
They didn't know it at the time.
Yeah, my boss is like, you didn't tell me it was that big when I parked it in our spare lot. And he's basically like, get that thing out of here. So we did some work on it. We got it all fixed up. So the headlights were running and got it, at least like mechanically sound in that sense. But
put some plywood in the hole.
Yeah. It was like
it
was the night before we were gonna leave. Like at night, like trying to secure plywood to the side, get this thing drivable because we're about to make the trek. And just getting it home from Alancha back down to Orange County to get loaded up was like one adventure.
Yeah.
And then there was like the plan everybody had about what they were going to put on the bus to haul to Burning Man. And so like weight distribution and like planning, it was, to say it was a shit show would be an understatement.
Yeah. One of the highlights of that was, so all of our sound rig is on Skid Row basically. And so we're supposed to get there at sunset, and it's like 1 a.m, and we roll up on Skid Row with
literally
this bus.
in downtown LA on Skid Row.
On Skid Row,
Okay.
like one of the worst streets possible. And of course, our buddy does shows out of that warehouse, and they're unfazed by the LA that lifestyle, but we're not accustomed to that. So every time I go there, I'm just like white knuckling the steering wheel, scared, and you're watching guys. We watched a dude shove a heroin needle straight into his forehead at like noon on that street.
What?
And our buddy just goes, "That's welcome to Skid Row," and he doesn't even flinch at that sort of
Isn't there a
stuff.
skull there?
There's a big forehead vein he was aiming for.
Oh my God.
And he had a lot of practice from what it looked like.
Wow. Okay.
So anyway, we're kind of obviously like we're uncomfortable being there, and then mind you, we're loading up all this expensive sound gear, and I bought this like really chintzy, handicap ramp because the speakers are a couple hundred pounds. Like we're not able to lift them. So the ramp ended up working great, but we have a team of guys that were there waiting for us to load this up. So the load went pretty quick. We ran out of room on the bus to put the speakers.
Yeah.
So we ended up having to shove them in the driver's area. So anytime you wanted to get in or out of the driver's seat, you would have to physically climb over these speakers and jump down into your seat, which will come into play later in the story. But the load up was a shit show, and then we hadn't even gone to pick up the rest of the camel at this point.
Yeah.
And it's 1 a.m. We know we're about solid 7 hours away from being to
going back to
Alancha
to get the camel head that's still being fabricated.
He was welding it while we're on the way out there to really if you ever see pictures of it, you can look and see that it wasn't really finished. But
on the way to Burning Man, like you still
on the
didn't
way
have
out,
the head. What about the rest of the body, the different stuff on there?
There really wasn't There wasn't
Yeah,
anything else. It was just legs.
Well, the
made it-
humps
no,
we had
Lucas-
to put together at Burning Man.
Lucas had, so the humps that are on top were geodomes
Okay.
that were still on the pallet.
Okay.
So we had to build those on the playa, which that's a story in itself. And then all the
lights.
wood, all the ornamental wood and the lighting and stuff was getting brought up by Lucas, who had just kind of CNC'd all that. He was coming from Chico.
Okay.
So he kind of brought all the ornamental stuff. We had a generator that we had to pull to power, right? We're pushing way too much juice for the sound system. And so we rented a generator to pull. And we had Mike Torrey towed that for us, thankfully. So
I was in the car too,
Felicia,
and
yeah.
we also were following the bus because we were once again afraid we were going to get pulled over, and so we had to stay behind the bus so that we made sure no one would get behind. A cop couldn't get behind them,
Okay.
and we were kind of like the follow along to help them out, and because it kept overheating.
It's like Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
But,
Every time I hear hardcore stories, I'm just like, God bless you. I have no desire to deal with any of that.
brutal.
Oh, well, we hear stories too. A couple of years ago, we were camped next to the guys who also, the same guy who sold us this bus sold this like a rocket ship, silver rocket ship. I don't know if you've seen that out there, like a
3
3-story
stories,
tall rocket.
huge.
Okay.
It's
But
amazing.
They blew a motor, so they spent the entire week under there trying to they put a new motor in, and it still had issues.
Oh, man.
So, and it was the same owner so we were a little nervous about that. But apparently, he had told them there was too much weight on a gasoline engine. We had a
Right.
big diesel pusher, so we were good. But anyway, we get to Olancha finally, and it's like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we needed help loading everything up because the geodome and the head and everything else needed to be mounted on the bus still, and we're pretty much out of room at this point. So our buddy Tony had gotten there early in the night, and he had pulled off to the side of the road to get some sleep, and we're already road weary because it's like it's so much work to drive that bus, and they're air brakes and they don't really stop. And it's exhausting, mentally exhausting to drive that bus. And we'd already been through so much that day.
Is it still beeping, by the way? Is it doing the beep,
It
beep,
beeps pretty much nonstop, but at this point, you've learned to tune it out because you're on the way there.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to kind of deal with that sort of stuff because you're so pumped on getting
beep?
there.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's so loud in that bus. It's incredibly loud when you're driving. So there's the beeping, but the thing is rattling as it's going on the freeway. So it's kind of like there's a ton of sound going through that.
You've got
thing.
other problems.
It legit feels like it's gonna fall apart at any moment. So you're driving it, you're just like checking every gauge. You're just, it's beeping, you're this and that. You're checking every mirror. You're like, oh my god, this thing. And then you're just like, oh my god, 5 hours has passed. You're like, geez.
Yeah, you get in the zone for sure. But so anyway, our buddy was pulling an RV, and he kind of parked. The RV was in the way of where I'm trying to go.
Trailer.
I'm trying to thread the needle through this fence, and I'm also driving a massive bus, and I'm road weary. So anyway, I go to swing the bus around, and I just slap the back of it into the side of his trailer at 4 in the morning and almost knocked it over.
He doesn't really know because that thing is so big. And me and Mike are in the back with the walkie-talkies like, stop, you're hitting Tony's trailer.
I'm going to call Trav out on this one. It was just a total bad driving move. Like he said, he was road weary. He came in way too fast. Tony's got a trailer, a fifth wheel that he's towing, and he's asleep in his truck.
Yeah.
And he wakes up to Trav rear-ending him.
Yeah.
in a
But he also
massive
parked
bus.
it in the middle of the road, so
It's rocking back and forth, and
Brand
his
new,
face was
brand new fifth wheel. He
hilarious.
just bought it, dude. He gets out, he's like,
Just for Burning Man.
fuck.
Oh, my God.
Trav's like, oh, sorry, we'll fix it. It'll buff out.
it never buffed out. So we kind of shake that off, and then we have, I don't know, probably 3 hours worth of loading to do at this point. So we're literally unboxing. We're taking the 3D geodesic domes off the pallet and throwing the bars up one at a time up to guys on the roof so we can put it up there. And it was, labor intensive, right? So Jesse and I are taking turns driving, but it's already been like the most grueling day ever. And then, of course, we get to the hills.
Yeah, so a part of this story, and anybody that's come out of Southern California that's drove to the burn knows, like, the way you don't go is up to 395, right? Like, it's just, like, don't go that way, right? And I had no idea. I didn't even check the map. I'm just like, all right, cool, let's go. Dude, we went through every mountain pass. This bus is overheating about every
Left and
500
right.
yards. Like, at
my
this
God.
point, it's more than beeping. Like, it's getting hot. You can tell the machine.
Are you pulling over whenever it's doing that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
About, what do you think total? 30 plus? times we
yeah.
pulled over, had to wait?
I try not to exaggerate. I'd say 40 to 50 times we pulled over.
Oh my god.
Adding water to the the reservoir. At one point my buddy's trying to pour water in there, and somehow there's a paper towel in the fucking thing, so the paper towel goes into the radiator.
We had nothing. We had nothing to fish it out except drumsticks. So he's in there using these
Of course,
drumsticks
Mike Torrey had drumsticks.
to fish
They're
out
still in there.
these paper towels in the radiator. It was just a nightmare, like one thing after another. And you got to remember too, whatever the clearance on bridges is, the DOT clearance in California, I think it's like 14 foot. We'll say 14 and a half. And we looked it up and we're like, cool, we need to be under 14 and a half feet. So we load the bus up and then we literally take a tape measure and we have it clearanced by, I don't know, maybe 4 inches. So when you're driving over these and you see a bridge clearance, you're just like, okay, cross your fingers and, wait for something to get ripped off.
Yeah.
So we must have been clearing it by a couple inches every time.
Not only that, we loaded the head and everything on, and it was going up above the railing. So I mean, there was some butthole pucker factor for sure. If
Yeah.
you're going under any overpass, or heaven forbid, there's a tree hanging over. Like, so by the time we actually got to the burn, like seemed like a week later, we got trees hanging on. We grabbed everything on the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh, remember this?
And if there's one thing they
Yeah,
don't
we took out
want,
a tree.
if there's one thing they don't want, it's a bunch of like live or natural plants.
Blowing leaves all over the playa.
So we get there, and for whatever reason, I didn't have the email, so we had to we got shamed into D-Lot. So we're in D-Lot for a while.
After the long ass drive we did, pulling over 40 times, and then we get sent to D-Lot. It was just like the cherry on top.
Oh man. Why did you get sent to D-Lot?
Well, so I didn't have the right paperwork, and they were like, well, this bus can't come in. And they were also super, super mad because we had all those tree branches. Literally, we climbed up there, and there's entire, like, 6-inch thick tree branches covered in leaves on the top of the car. We're like, oh, my God.
Couple sycamores. We got an oak. Like, whatever.
So
It was bad, dude. I didn't know. Like, oh,
We
you can
didn't.
hear
I mean,
it.
you don't know.
when you
like,
drive over it, you
You
can
hear
kind of
it.
hear the cracking of the branches. You go, whatever. It looked like it was going to...
thought it blew off.
So Jesse and I's routine is, we've driven big rigs out there before, and every year we get pulled over for something, right? Like one time he got pulled over for not putting his blinker on, turning a right from the 6 o'clock on Playa. He got pulled over for that.
Did they
On
immediately
Playa.
bring the dogs?
They didn't bring the dogs that time. We're always smart. We don't do drugs, so it's not a big deal for us. But also, we knew we were going to get pulled over, right?
Yeah.
So we do things beforehand to make sure that, like we're driving a big old bus, looks like we're burners. We're not going to take chances. So,
Sure.
of course, we're going through the town. We know we're not supposed to speed because, there's some political BS going on there. So, and you got to remember, the bus's max speed's about 35 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm
they're not
going
pulling over for speeding.
I'm going max.
Yeah.
I'm going max speed, and then we get pulled over. And well, here we go. So we pull over, and there's no brake. So, and I can't get out of the driver's seat because there's speakers in the way.
Oh, I'm going to chime in real quick. So at this point, while we're driving, the door will not stay shut. So as we're driving up there, it's just coming open. So we have a flapping door going down the freeway, and we're so pissed off, we're not even going to stop anymore. We're like, it's going to overheat.
Get us
It's going to
there.
overheat in 10 minutes anyways. Like, just leave it open, right? And so at this point, the air brakes don't work. So you park, you set the air brake, you let your foot off the brake, and it starts rolling. So it's like, okay, so we got this routine. So he'll park. He's got to keep his foot on the thing. I got to crawl up and over the speakers, like belly crawl, go over the thing, go outside. At this point, we have the door tied with a tie-down strap to keep it shut. So you have to undo the door, go outside with the tire chock, put the tire chock in, and then you're parked. So that's what it takes to park the bus.
Tire chock. Okay.
Tire
All right.
chock goes underneath the tire so it doesn't roll.
So when you press the brakes, it doesn't brake?
the air brakes, like
Yes.
the parking brake, does
Okay.
not
Yeah,
work.
but parking wise,
These
Okay.
barely work.
Got it.
The pedal brakes barely work.
All right.
And so so we get pulled over.
Yeah.
We get pulled over, and you were driving, so I'll let you
Yeah.
tell it. This is
Yeah.
good. And Trav's got an attitude at this point, which I'm like, don't. What are you doing?
I don't know if I had an attitude. I was just like, of course, dude. Like, this is the item on our checklist that we're waiting for, you know?
Yeah.
take it off.
So he pulls us over, and we're kind of like, this is bullshit. We weren't doing anything wrong. I can't wait to hear why he pulled us over.
Yeah.
So he walks up, and of course the door is broken, and he's trying to figure out the door. And I just hand him, I like reach over the speakers, and I hand him a tire chock, and I go, "Hey, officer, can you chock our tires real quick?" And he just starts laughing, like, this thing doesn't have brakes. I go, "Nope." He goes, that might explain why you were speeding then. And I'm like, come on, dude. This thing doesn't go that fast.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're being cool, and he's like, do you know why I pulled you over? And I just kind of looked at him like, do you want to? I was just like, yeah, because we look like burners. That's why you pulled us over.
Yeah.
And he starts laughing. And I was like, okay, well, at least he's going to be cool. So he grabs three of our IDs, and our buddy Josh is also on the bus, which we forgot to include at this point. It's his first burn.
Oh, man.
So I told him not to get on there because it would be hell, and he's like, "No, dude, it's cool." And I'm like, "Okay."
He had
we
no
can,
idea
We
what
can
he was
always use the spare hands.
into.
No.
So this poor guy's going through it with us, and so we all hand our IDs in. He's gone. He's checking, running all of our IDs, and he comes back, and he goes, "Which one of you is Jesse Severance?" And Jesse kind of stands up. He goes, "I am. What's up?" He goes, "When's the last time you got pulled over?" And he says, "I don't get pulled over that much, so I don't know, a couple years." And I decided it's a good idea to remind Jesse that he got pulled over last year on the playa. And the guy's like, "Oh, what a good friend you are." I said, "Well, maybe he forgot." And so he goes, "Anyway, there's a warrant out for your arrest."
What?
We're all kind of looking at him
Yeah.
like, we're all looking at him like, ha ha,
Hello.
like bad poker face, And he goes, "No, I'm serious. I have a warrant out for your arrest."
He goes, get out. Mind you, you can only see me from the shoulders up because I'm in the back behind the speakers. I'm buried in
Can't
this
get
little
out,
cubby.
yeah.
He's like, "You're going to have to come out." I'm like, "What?"
Oh, my God.
Like, you got to be kidding me.
So he finally, we're not buying it, right? We're like, "No, dude, like, we get it. Like, you're trying to have fun. This is your entertainment for the week.
Yeah,
We're not going to be a part of it." And he gets that, that cop face, and he's like, "I'm serious, Jesse. You have to come with me." And Jesse goes, "No way." And all of our faces just go, "What are we going to do?" And then the minute he realized he had got all of us, he just looks at us and says, "Ha ha, gotcha."
Oh, mother.
Isn't that great though? Like,
Wow.
Oh, dude.
I mean, that's hilarious.
Holy
You could have cut it with a
shit.
knife, though, man. It was like, I was like, damn. And you start running in your head. I'm thinking, like, I lived in Vegas at one point. Is there a ticket I didn't pay? Like,
Oh, my
And he just
God.
looked at me straight poker face, man. He won. He was good.
Yeah, he got us.
Oh, my God.
So, and he knew he was dealing with, like, we thought it was hilarious, and it really, like, put a second wind in our sails and completely turned. Not that there was ever a bad attitude on the bus, because the entire time we're breaking down and going through all this,
We were laughing.
we
our
have a
asses
really
off.
good attitude about it.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, in a situation like that, that's your only option. Otherwise, you're going to get broken before you get there.
Right.
And like I said, we've taken big rigs to the burn before and had a lot of kind of unfortunate things happen and breakdowns. And I think every burner kind of goes through that mechanical breakdown at some point. And it's such an important thing to hold tight to that positive attitude. And it's easy. That's why you got to select who's going to be on your bus so carefully, or who's driving out there with you, because really that ride out there is going to decide what kind of time you have out there.
Yeah.
If you can hold on to that positivity out there, you're going to have a good time. But the minute you lose that, which we probably could have,
Oh, there was a couple times. It was
100
close.
times.
So coming through Bridgeport, man, is like you go through this sweet little town. Make sure you don't speed. There is this mountain pass you have to go up, and like literally we overheated at the bottom of the pass. We're staring at this giant mountain, and it's like, okay, let's give the bus a break because we know once we go up this hill, like we're overheating. Like, right, let's give it a chance to rest before we hit the big hill.
Right.
And I'm staring at this hill, and I'm just defeated. And I'm looking at Travis, and I'm like, we're going to have to get this thing towed over the pass, dude. Like, we can't turn around and go back. Like, that's not an option. And he's like, nah, dude, like, we're doing it. Like, we're going for it. And I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's go. And so, dude, unbeknownst to us, mind you, like, we're going up the hill. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you it's like 7 miles an hour tops. Like, we are the slowest thing on the road. And it's a 2-lane road that takes you up over this gnarly pass, the gnarliest one out of the whole thing. You remember which one I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, of course,
And the
yeah.
entire right lane is closed. Caltrans is doing work. So it's down to a 1-laner,
Of course.
which means we have, 50 cars behind us as we're limping up this hill. And it's just brutal, man. So I was driving at that point, and I'm like, fuck the cones. I pulled over in the Caltrans lane, and I'm just limping up in the Caltrans zone as we're going up. We pulled over, we overheated, and the Caltrans guy comes up. He's laughing at us, and I'm like, "Hey, man, you want to give us an escort up the hill?" He's like, "No." He just takes off. Like, good luck, dude. So the cops were cool, right? Cops came by, and they weren't exactly giving us the thumbs up, but they didn't shake us down.
Yeah.
So once we got over that last pass, and we're
I love
looking
that
at,
we're
like,
at that standard, by the way. Like, they didn't shake us down. They didn't fuck with us. So apparently things are okay.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at the bus.
That's how you gauge things.
Yeah.
You look at the bus, man. It's like Ken Kesey, right? You just look at it and just go, oh, those guys are up to no good.
Yeah. Well, also another kind of wrench that we threw, and this is our own fault, but we could not get the bus registered in California for whatever reason. So I probably spent, like, leading up to it 2 weeks just doing, like, different state DMV research, trying to figure out what the best state.
So your mic is on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
To do research.
Yeah. It's just
And-
very low volume. Do it
What
again.
now?
Yeah. I know.
Speak up.
So after
Sorry.
after weeks of trying to find maybe like the easiest loophole in different states DMVs, we figured out that Nevada. Sorry to call you out. Well, actually, maybe you guys can use some revenue, so I'm hooking you up here. But Nevada was going to be pretty easy for us. Arizona wouldn't do it, and just the transfer of title from out of California State, a lot of the DMVs wouldn't touch it without a smog, and there's all kinds of things that you needed to do. So we worked it out. So on the way up there, we had to go to a Nevada DMV and get it registered, which was also, I don't know, probably really, the DMV experience in Nevada was much better than you would expect.
Yeah.
Because we're used to California DMVs. So I think from start to finish, maybe an hour.
Yeah,
You guys were
no,
quick.
Yeah, they wanted to weigh it.
They wanted to weigh the bus.
Pull it on the scale, which it's loaded full of speakers and everything.
So the bus, no joke,
Go
probably
ahead.
weighed about, I don't know, 30,000 pounds plus.
It's
You know.
crazy.
So when the registration comes every year, obviously it's still like 1/5 the cost of California. So we're good with that. But
Wow.
the experience in the Nevada DMV was great. They were super helpful.
Yeah, shout out Nevada DMV.
And
Like, not kidding,
good
dude.
to know,
They did a great
good
job.
to know that we were driving the bus the whole time without being registered, and that was another reason we needed to follow in the truck because we had no plates on the thing.
Yeah, well,
Oh
I
my
did
God.
go.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
So California
There's zero
issues,
plates on it.
they issue these things called a moving permit. If you guys are ever in the same situation out there, you can go to AAA or DMV or whatever, and I think it was like $5 for each moving ticket. And yeah, basically anytime you want to move it, you just fill out one of those forms. And we didn't. We just left them blank. And then if you get pulled over, you just fill it out real
Fill it
quick.
out
and
then.
it tells you
I was
right
like,
on
what are
it.
you doing? You're like, hold on a second. I can't open the door. Hold on. You're filling out your moving permit.
Yeah,
I love
so
that. Shout out to Nevada DMV. Here's how you hack the system.
Yeah.
Well, I think
That
it's
was
important.
California. That's the California system we're hacking.
Everyone needs to know how to do that because you all are going to find yourself in the same situation at some point. So,
If you're idiots like us and decide to do an art car.
yeah. So I think start to finish, probably like including the time to load up at my house, load up the speakers in LA, go to Max's and get the rest of the Camel and the DMV. I don't know. What do you think? Like we're probably like 30 hours into it
Yeah,
at
I
this
was going
point.
to say 28, 30 hours.
I think we hit 30.
And so Jesse and I are taking shifts, but poor Mike Torrey behind us and Fo have been going nonstop. So we're all at that point where we're like, oh, let's just get there.
Yeah.
And I think we had one of the biggest, like, oh my God, we finally did it moments ever the minute we pulled on Playa. So you kind of get that second, like, obviously when you work harder for something, you're going to enjoy that moment a little more. So having that experience of, like, going through every single, like, wrong thing that can go wrong happening, and then being able to all kind of celebrate with all your favorite people that, you know, like, you go through so much all year, and to kind of, you know, spend a week out there together to go through that experience and come out of it on top still. You know, it was a powerful moment for all of us. So
Definitely.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, you know, any of those memorable things, right? The ones you work hard for,
Right,
the
right.
ones that you remember. I mean, we, you know, Trav and I still joke about it. I had to move the bus yesterday, as a matter of fact, to go relocate it
Yeah.
because its rental spot was expired, to put it lightly. So we had to move it. But even getting in the thing, you know, I'm like salty. Like, I don't want to move this damn bus. I'm so tired of this thing. And dude, we've never washed it. All the original sunflower seeds are all over the floor.
That's
been
how they
birds.
stayed awake driving the thing.
There's been birds living in it, so there's bird shit all over the steering wheel, and it's just like it's still beautiful somehow. You know, like you get in it, you're like, oh, okay, put a smile on my face. So-
Get a little playa dust in your face.
Oh, for sure. As soon as you sit down, it like puffs up. You're like, ooh.
Did
Little dusty.
the DMV at Burning Man have any issues with it?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a few. So I think this is important too. Have you guys ever like covered art car? Have you ever had like an art car guest come on?
We've had a lot of different art car conversations on here.
So just to educate the public, there's a few things that they really don't like, and one of the biggest things, and this is for
Our
safety.
camp is one of them.
Oh yeah, one
School
is
buses.
one is our trailer. Well, they don't like when you're pulling a trailer behind it.
Okay.
Really, like I think they, because they had an accident
Safety
a couple years
reasons,
back,
yeah.
and it's
Makes
all
sense,
safety.
dude. Makes sense.
And we knew that going into it, and that's why I was trying to get the generator mounted on board, and I was really pushing for that. And for whatever reason, we ended up not doing that. That's another story. But so we decided that we were going to tow a generator behind it, and you have to have all kinds of safety lines, and there's all kinds of specs that they want done, and so they were really sticklers on that. So. Like if you do plan on, I would suggest not doing it. It's just easier and it's safer because all week long,
Do not tow a trailer.
It was a nightmare.
when you're pulling it, you'd be surprised by people just not realizing the trailer's back there, and people will try to run up on the back of the bus or the railing.
Was the trailer like your personal stuff, or what was in the trailer?
It was generator.
Just the
Okay,
generator.
okay, got
It's
it, got it.
Like a rental
huge
tow behind
generator.
generator and think could put out some juice.
It was a 20 kilowatt generator on with
Yeah.
a trailer on it, and we decorated it like a piece like a camel shit. Really,
It was a poop emoji. that we put
the
lights
camel
on.
shit.
It was camel poop.
I love it.
So
And,
cosmetically, we thought we could sell that. They weren't too thrilled on that either, but
yeah. Like there's so much like they're just looking for aesthetics and they want to see modification.
Right.
And it was pretty obvious that we had half-assed that because we had just cut out, our buddy Lucas, our artist who does all our CNC work, had just CNC'd a poop emoji, and we slapped it on the side,
It
each
lit
side.
up too, so hey.
It was lit up.
one eye.
Yeah, we got one eye lit up. It was last minute, and obviously, like we were trying to kind of abide by the DMV rules, and they just said, "Cool, here, like fix X, Y, Z." And next year be better, right?
Yeah.
So we did, but the problem is like anyone that wants to drive it, you can't really back the trailer up at that point because most people don't know how to back up a trailer. It's
Yeah.
not safe. Anytime you take a turn, that trailer's going to be dragging behind you. Luckily, we had spotters all week, so we didn't really have to struggle with that. But it's just an added element. I would suggest if you're going to build an art car, finding a way to mount whatever it is on board the car and avoid the trailer altogether.
Yeah, that's great advice. And they were very stern with that. They're like, look, we like you guys. I think it was our second time to the DMV, right? First time.
It did take us a few tries. So, and be patient. If you get approved, there's things they're looking for, and most of those things are for safety. So, if they tell you no, and they're going to tell you why, go back to camp and fix it. And so we got a couple of those, and we knew the routine because we had a car before, so we
Right.
had a little bit of an advantage there. So I don't think we got it fully approved until like Wednesday.
It took a
Yeah,
couple.
it
It took a
took a
couple.
while.
cracks. We
Plus
got the
we were
day. We got the
building it
day
all.
license. It was the night license that was tough.
So yeah, our buddy
Yeah, the
Lucas,
night license.
he was out
the
there.
Tough one.
Well, he's a CNC. He's an artist by trade, and we've kind of like forced him to be, our CNC guy, and he does everything for us. And like we're like, you're gonna learn how to wire, you're gonna learn how to solder, you're gonna learn how to do all these things. So he's out there learning it on the fly, and we're just like, how much longer? How much longer? So, and of course, he's ripping his hair out, trying to figure it out, like soldering.
Picking up that many lights all together.
He was
He'd
the
never
first
done
meltdown.
that many.
You hear about the playa meltdowns. I watched Lucas straight zap out, like just like short circuit.
He does that anyway. It doesn't take him long.
Yeah, it was like, shout out to Lucas, man. We love,
love
you.
you.
What a champ. But like he was just like, he went and hid in a corner or a trailer somewhere. He's like, I'm not doing it. I'm done.
Yeah, it's stressful. Anyone that has a part of it, and the big thing was, the bus had never been fully assembled. We'd never had every element together all at one time.
Yeah.
So there's 5 main elements that had never even been completely put on the bus, and they all had to come together for the first time on Playa. And they came together. Obviously, putting the geodomes on there was a challenge because we had to go get a heavy lift operator with their grade all to put it on.
They're
there's-
building them. Like the teams we had to assemble these geodomes.
it took a team, our entire camp basically, a couple hours to build those 2 domes. So
Yeah, and then plus we had the iridescent, like plasticky fabric that went inside the dome, so we had some shade up there, and so we had to attach all those little triangles once the domes were built.
Moral of the story here is, guys, for anyone that's aspiring to do this, build it at home. Like literally build it at home, label everything, have your team ready and familiar with how to build this thing, and then take it out there and assemble it.
Yeah.
Because going out there and trying to, we left all these things to do The to-do list was long and heavy, and man, that thing. Even like punching. What are those called? The little rivets we put in the.
Oh yeah,
grommets.
That's right.
The grommets.
I forgot about that,
dude.
We were all over at my house about a week before, cutting triangles to the spec of the inside of the geodome triangles, and there was a team of us here. Probably like 20 people were here. So I got. Huh?
And then making pickles
Oh yeah,
too.
we also made some pickles. I still have some in my fridge from that year. If you guys are interested. I just tried a jalapeno.
He just tried one. He said they're
Delicious.
still good.
So we have a team of people here on an assembly line. We're cutting triangles, and I have like 4 rivet guns all going at once, and it still took hours to cut all those triangles because it was hundreds of triangles that we all had to cut, and trying to put a rivet through like that weird kind of plasticky fabric.
Yeah.
Not easy. So like there's just a
Doesn't
lot
want to
of
latch down on it.
there's a lot of work, and that work is compounded the minute you get out there. So do everything you can at home and.
Yeah, so it was another fun detail for this was we were able to build the geodomes on the ground. Who took over and was commanding the A to B?
James.
James was crushing it. He was just the commander with his accent. A to B, B to D, and D to C. It's simple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
Which
a
is-
perfect Australian accent.
Oh,
Nailed it.
shit, nailed it.
Which he lives in New York, so we only see him pretty much once a year at the
Yeah,
burn.
James Hartley.
Yeah, so
Legend.
he's
Legend.
shout out to him.
Legend.
Love that guy.
So we were able to build these things on the ground, get all of the iridescent little triangles put in, all bungeed up. They looked pretty. And now we were tasked with picking these fully assembled domes up, lifting them above this giant bus, and mounting them to the top rail.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, so that's where it kind of gets fun too, because one of our campmates is like a no joke
An arborist.
a competitive tree climber, and she missed my wedding because she was competing in like some kind of tree climbing contest.
I had no fucking
Shout out
idea.
Julia.
that was a
professional
thing.
professional rigger. Yeah, shout out Julia.
Julia.
So we get these built, and now we're looking at them, going, "How are we going to get them up?" And we had done we had gone through all the right channels. We went through heat, which is the heavy lifting crew.
Yeah.
But they're-
Heavy equipment, something.
But they're also like, "Hey, don't count on us being there on time or ever or at all." So we had to come up
Typical
with our own
Burning
plan.
Man.
So Julia went out. She goes, "This is my time to shine." She had ran out, and she sees a female Greydall, like heavy machine operator, and she stops. She goes, "Hey, from woman to woman, please help. We need your help."
I was there for that. That's truth. She
And
hit her
this
with
poor-
the woman power thing.
The poor girl,
Nice.
she had broke her fork, so they wouldn't tilt, and she was just trying to get home. And Julia's like, "No, you need to help me because we're in this together." Girl power kind of thing. And she does. She turns right back around and comes over, and she goes, "I'll do everything." So Julia's up on top of these domes, climbing on them they're suspended technically,
Yeah.
like hanging around swinging, and she's up on top like undoing the rigging, and it was really like watching an acrobat perform, but it was also like a very impressive thing because it's like, what are the chances that you're camped with somebody who is that comfortable doing something like that, a professional rigger. So
Shout out to her for being the only woman to drive the bus as well. And she did it topless.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
I didn't know that. I was
Yeah, I
asleep for
didn't
that
know that
public.
either.
That was on Tutu Tuesday. She had a tutu on, she had her tits out, and she was driving the bus.
Tutus and titties. I like it.
Yeah,
Hey,
very nice. So yeah, that the assembly of that thing, I just remember the moment when it was, and then we had to put the head on. We'd never put the head on before. That took like 10 people and 5 ladders and just
yeah,
like
nightmare.
it was like the Egyptians, man. We were just like building the Great Pyramids. It was
The
insane.
word the words manpower
Yeah.
became a whole different, It's
Yeah.
like you understand that once you're putting this giant camel head on top of a bus.
A
Yeah,
privilege many of us will not have.
And if this sounds like we weren't enjoying it or we're trying to like talk you out of doing an art car,
We are. in
we
art.
are.
Yeah.
No, I for sure am. The
don't
whole reason
do
I
it.
do the show is so I can talk you out of doing art cars.
Yes.
It's too much. Like, if I could do it again, I would have like a little 2-person golf cart art car with like no responsibility. Something I could put on a trailer, get it in, get it out.
The best way to avoid all that is to bring your bike.
Yeah, there you go.
I think bikes still rule. There's so many bikes out there. Now that I look at that from that perspective, I understand that every single person you see on a bike, I just assume that it's because they know better than to bring an art car out there. So they're all the smartest people out there.
Yeah, you definitely run into challenges. I mean, especially once you get we're hyped. We get the thing going. We get the sound working. Do we want to tell the story about the lights and the wizard and going over to Dusty
Rhino Camp.
Shout out to the wizard.
Yeah,
No, definitely don't tell that story.
Well, it was just, like Lucas is one of our best friends, and like you're trying to get something done, but also at the same time, you care. I mean, getting something done, it takes a backseat to when one of your buddies is going through like a mental breakdown, right?
Right.
So you're trying to focus on your buddy's mental health, but a lot of that's being stemmed from not being able to get something done, right? So you have to look at it. You have to step back and say, why is this meltdown happening? So it was a weird situation where this dude is just kind of at its wit's end because he can't figure out how to wire all of his CNC on the bus, and we kind of want him to just step back and take a break and kind of focus on getting sleep and re-energizing.
Right.
But we know the minute that he figures it out, everything's going to flip and he's going to be a brand new person. So one of our buddies is on the Dusty Rhino, and he came over and said, hey, we got a guy over here that's pretty good with soldering. Bring the bus over. So we brought the bus over, and he was there. But also, and this dude's name was the Wizard, and he's definitely a legend because he didn't just say, cool, I'm going to do it all for you, and here you go, goodbye. He came over, and he goes, Lucas, you're the guy soldering this? Here's how you do it, blah, 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 bye. And then just kind of walked away and let Lucas figure it out.
Yeah.
And then when he couldn't get it, we brought him back, and Wizard came back and was very patient. And you can tell because this dude wires for a living, and he's starting at like ground zero, and he's trying not to do that right now. He's trying to go have fun. And
they had their camp family dinner was getting ready to kick off. Like we hit him up at the most inconvenient time, and he was
Why
just
do I
like,
feel like I've heard stories about this guy before?
yeah, I mean his art car is rad.
He's a legend. That's why if you look at the Rhino, you'll know why.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're pulling this guy away from his dinner, and he's being cool, and he's looking at Lucas, and he realizes that Lucas is going through this mental breakdown.
Yeah.
And he's also giving it. He goes, "Hey man," and he's a seasoned pro.
I'm laughing at Jesse moving his hands like that.
He's
like,
shaking.
No,
dude.
listeners,
like,
I'm not making fun of this poor guy.
Lucas looks like he ain't slept in 6 days.
So Wizard kind of sees this, and he goes, "Okay, I need to take a different approach to this whole thing." And then he just kind of got into the mindset of, I'm gonna help this kid out. I'm gonna help him. And he gave a lot of really good advice. And he says, hey man, this is what we all go through, no matter what level of expertise you have out here. You're always gonna run into troubles like this, and you need to basically trying to calm him down. And I think it worked. And then at some point for the most part we got it running, and we were all and then Lucas, that for him that was cool. Like my week can start now. So
Nice.
We don't want to underemphasize how important it is to handle what it is you've been tasked with out there. But
So was that on Wednesday?
That was maybe.
Jesse's really bad with what days that things are.
I'm the worst, dude. Don't ever ask me what day it is. I get no idea.
Well, the big joke was that year we were with Playground. Actually, no, that was the year before. The year I had the gun pulled on me. I had left camp on our art car. We don't want to get into that story.
Okay, all right.
It'll take too much time. But
Not worth it.
yeah, we've already we're trying to not to talk about that part. So,
Okay.
I jumped on the art car and I ran into Jesse because I just kind of jumped on and took off, and I heard someone snoring, and I look in the back of the art car, and Jesse's asleep back there.
We had no idea he was back there.
Wait, no, it's
He
when he
just
says the
popped
back
up.
of the art car, there's about a 6-inch lip behind the speakers, not even visible from the driver's seat.
We couldn't see him.
And this
I'm
is our
somehow
first
on
one.
this
It's smaller.
ledge. I'm on this ledge asleep, and these guys wake me up.
Hold it like this because it shakes the thing. There you go.
And I coughed or something, and Trav's like, "Who the hell is on this car?"
Yeah.
And I look back there, and I see a dude who's covered under like an inch of dust, who had clearly been asleep back there for a while. And we kind of go, oh, no. What do we do with this guy? And he wakes up, and we're kind of looking at him. How bad is he going to be? And he was bad. So we're about to turn around and take him back to camp, and he's like, no, we're going to go. We're going to go out. We're going to have a day. So, of course, we stop at like this, I don't know, probably
Did you passed out there from the night before?
I couldn't tell you.
none of us
No
none of us
idea.
could tell you, dude.
Okay.
So it was burn night.
Okay. Wow.
It was, I don't know, like 3:00 on burn night.
Yeah.
And Jesse kind of wakes up. We find about a 35-foot ladder to climb. I tell him not to climb it. I climb up there. I look behind me. He's right behind me climbing the ladder. His eyes are cross-eyed, bloodshot. I don't know how he can even see out of them. And he's climbing this huge ladder. So I'm upset at him. And I'm like, Jesse, let's go back down. We need to get you back to camp. So we're driving back to camp.
Well, can we talk about the girl falling down the ladder?
Yeah, we're getting there.
It wasn't me.
So I'm mad at Jesse because we're really high up.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous. Straight up, like you see those things out there, and usually it's like if I'm even a little bit messed up, I won't touch it. But when you're too messed up, you don't all that.
Has it been a good drive? I want to hear, like, was there music playing? Were you having fun?
I just
Has
had
any
a
of
gun
that
pulled on
happened
me.
yet?
So
Okay.
I was not having very much fun.
Okay.
We were trying to get him out of camp.
I was having
Wow.
a blast. The way I remember it, we were having a good time.
Yeah.
We turned it around real quick.
Yeah.
We
I
did.
was having a great time.
Well, Jesse actually made it way worse for a minute because he was just like, great. We went from one problem to another problem. And it's
Yeah.
like, I just need a break, And so we're climbing down the ladder, and we get Jesse down. I'm relieved. Cool, let's get back to the bus. And then you hear this torpedo. Zoom, boom. And this chick had fallen from the top of the ladder, like scorpioned herself right in front of us. So I'm trying to get her to stay down. She hops right back up, starts.
Ladder. Wait, where was the
Booking it.
ladder?
Oh, the ladder was still there, but she just tried to climb down it facing forward and like
From
caught her-
the art car? I'm
No,
trying
no.
to-
No, it was one of those like viewpoints that you have, and you just climb up the ladder, like how people have those at their camps.
There was like a
Oh,
little
okay.
loft
Okay.
on top.
And yeah, it's like a
It wasn't
just
a little
like
loft. It was huge.
it was one of those you would climb up and you can see all of the playa,
Yeah, yeah.
from up above, and that's what we like you go up there, you want to see the view,
Right.
and that's what we were doing, and that's not what she
Scorpioned
was
herself
doing.
from about 25 feet.
Oh, my gosh.
Like
Yeah,
her
it was
feet
bad.
went over her head, and like slapped the back of her head, kind of thing. It was bad.
Oh, wow.
And her boyfriend's messed up, and we're looking at him. We're like, oh my gosh. So we kind of like scurry them to the art car.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get them to the medical tent because there must have been some kind of
Yeah. We're like, you're hurt.
something was going on, and they were acting really strange. If it wasn't for her boyfriend or husband
Right.
being there acting strange, we would have thought that strangeness was because she was concussed or
Yeah.
had
Or,
this-
Burning Man.
Yeah. So we are trying to get her there. So we went from having a gun pulled to Jesse, climbing a 30-foot ladder, incoherent, to taking the girl that's potential emergency to the medical tent. To we turn around and they're gone. Both of them are just gone. The husband and the girl who just scorpioned herself are gone. And we're going, cool. Let's turn around and go back to camp. Hopefully the guy who just tried to shoot me is gone. So we go back to camp, and Jesse's just kind of stretching out on the hood of the car, and he's looking around, trying to soak it all in. And remember, it's bird night. And he kind of says, today is Tuesday.
Tuesday.
It's
And
been
we're
a
like,
running
what
joke
kind of
ever
dude
since.
spends the entire week looking forward to that one night? Like, everyone knows it's bird night, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you slip through the whole week, you wake up on bird night and you celebrate. Or not, whatever you're into. Everyone's different.
Or you're one of the veterans who get the fuck out of town.
Yeah. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
We can't even get the bus ready until Wednesday. You think we're leaving before the burn happens?
Listen, I was being optimistic, man. I'm like, hey, we still got a couple more days of this. Like, we're good.
Which we did, because back then, I think we'd leave on Monday or
Monday,
Tuesday.
yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, that was just the funniest thing for him to be so lost on what day it was. It's a true sign of him doing things right out there.
And it's followed me ever since. So
yeah,
that's
so
the running
now
joke.
we're always like, what day is it?
Yeah,
Tuesday?
Yeah, don't worry, it's Tuesday. And it's like Monday, we're packing up. So
No,
it's
just off the cords.
that was
There you go.
that was a good time, man. Actually, that particular thing, and again, it goes back to kind of what Trav was pointing to earlier. Obviously, we won't get into the details of the gun and the drama and all this kind of shit, but like those types of hardships that you go through with those people, right? That you love, that are there for you, and then when you have this breakthrough moment, right? Or going back to the bus after finally getting it to work and finally getting the sound to go, and there's that moment we pull across Esplanade out into Deep Playa, and the music's going, and like I got goosebumps right now just thinking about it.
Me too, bro.
Yeah. And it's like
Maybe it
there's
is worth
that,
it.
There's that moment, dude, and it's just like, wow, you feel like you did it, man. You're like, wow.
Talk about that night.
Yeah, geez, man. That was
Elaborate
every
on that
night.
a little bit.
So we had so we were like playing by the rules. We have this giant bus. We have a trailer, and they're like, you need a spotter. And so I'm like, cool. So I took the role of literally walking in front of the bus with like the things they
Airport
land,
flagman.
the things
Yeah.
they land
We
aircraft
had
with.
them in the
you know
front
what I mean?
and the
Like,
back.
Yeah, and then Patrick Riley, shout out to Pat, safety team. He's in the back. Thank God we were there because people are just dumb, dude. They come full
Yeah.
speed,
Running up to the
Try to
bus
throw their
while
bike
it's
on the bus.
moving.
Oh, my God.
It's
climbing on the
crazy.
side. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's
That
wild.
does get better as the week goes on. So like,
Less people do that as the week goes on.
Yeah.
people
Really?
get in the groove. They learn. They figure it out. And
okay.
obviously,
They get yelled at once and they
Yeah,
figure
yeah.
out, oh, yeah, I'm not supposed to be running at a moving
Yeah.
vehicle.
there's a learning curve there, and we understand that. So the first couple of days, you're on high alert, and people are definitely like running for that back rail.
Yeah.
And remember, we're towing a trailer, so you really get to see quickly why that trailer being pulled is such a liability. Because people really don't think a lot of times. But as the week goes on, everyone gets in their groove. Everyone kind of learns what they're not supposed to do.
Right.
And it did get a lot easier as the week went on. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember checking people off bicycles. Like I was having by the
Oh,
end
yeah.
of it, I was having a blast
Oh.
playing security guard. It was like hockey time. If you got too close on a bike, I just poof, like, get out of the way.
There was one morning and obviously we struggle because none of our camp wants to go without drinking or without partying. So we had assigned like very stringent bus shifts. You're going to drive the bus for 3 hours and then tap someone else is in. We had one rule: show up to your shift and be sober.
Oops.
And obviously we should
That's
know
2
better.
rules.
And that explains a lot right there.
There you go.
Oops.
Just want to point that out.
So anyway, we we struggled to find people that were able to drive the bus sober, and it became an issue. And there'd be times where whoever was supposed to be driving next wouldn't show up for their shift, and we'd be deep playa, and the driver would say, "Cool, I've been driving for 4 hours. I want to start
over it."
partying."
Yeah.
So at that point we just drive the bus back. So this is I think it was a Wednesday. I
Don't ask me.
Tuesday?
I think it was Tuesday.
He looks at Jesse of all the people to ask what day it was.
That's why I think people dress up and every day is a different theme. It's the only way to really remember what day it was.
That makes a lot of sense.
I remember I was wearing a Japanese hat and a Japanese kimono. So I don't know what
Fresh,
day
the red one?
I don't know what day that was for.
You
But
look good.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
anyway, we're all on a good one that day. It was morning comes up, and we
Yeah, it was sunrise.
mind you, we had built this bus because we thought we were going to compete with the Mayan,
the Mayan
Which we
warrior.
did, dude.
the Mayan warrior.
Okay.
Sound wise, close. Obviously Christian Barr dials in our sound, and he's really good at that. But we're just not there yet.
Yeah.
So at one point,
The sound is pretty fucking impressive. I'll
we
give you that.
were kind of coasting by the Mayan. Sunrise is
Yeah.
coming up, and we start thumping. And I just looked at the Mayan, and I looked at ours, and I went, "Oh man, almost there." But it's really, it puts into perspective how much work and energy goes into when you look at the Mayan warrior. 'Cause it's that much more impressive than what we had done, and you look at how much effort we put into ours. So it was one of those ha-ha moments, good luck catching me at our level.
Yeah,
So we're at Deep Playa, and we're having a good time. And our driver was like, "Hey, we need to get back," and we just didn't want to go back, so we kept jumping off the bus. And he's we're talking about Bones.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He's one of our anchor guys, and he would never leave us out there, and we knew that. So we're kind of like, "Cool, come find me." So we're at that big place with what was the build that
The
year?
fishing village that they ended up burning down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
That place was
village.
rad.
It was
Yeah.
nuts. So we're out there.
That was
and
incredible.
people are running around out there. Catch me if you can. And Bones is just like, "Come on, guys! We need to get going."
I'm gonna leave you. He's like, "You're not gonna leave Trav." He's like, "Watch me."
he didn't.
The Foley.
leave you for
The
like a
Foley
couple
is what we were
yards.
referencing, by the way.
The Foley, there
The
you go.
Foley, yeah.
Shout out to the
the
Foley.
absolutely incredible.
Mind blowing.
Incredible.
One of the coolest
Incredible.
pieces I think I've ever seen out there. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when you look at pictures of it later, because when you're there, obviously there's so much going on, and you have one of those holy macro moments.
Yeah.
And you kind of take it in then, and then the minute you see a photo of it later, you get that same feeling again. So.
Well, they had puzzles in there too,
Yeah.
right? There was
There's
you
little
could go
miniature
in,
things
there
you
was-
could see
Yeah,
inside,
inside
yeah.
the walls. But
Yeah,
they had
it-
clues. You can go through and solve different puzzles, and they had locks, combination locks.
Wow.
That if you could figure out the combo, it would access a door that would get you in. And there's a guy
There
in
was
there, and
just
it's a
so
free
much.
bar. And he's
Insane.
like, "Oh, you've made it." It's like, "Oh, my
A free
God."
bar at the burn?
Yeah, dude.
No way.
God, that thing, you could have literally have spent the entire burn just exploring that one
Yeah,
piece.
it was
You really could've.
incredible.
Yeah. That's amazing.
But what we were talking about that moment, or no? You were talking about
Okay.
coming back.
So yeah, for us, I think it was kind of all the crew that had put the effort in. A lot of them were on the bus, and it's important that when you put that much effort into something, you want the people that built it to enjoy it, right? Yeah. And we go through that sometimes where someone's so involved in a project, they're so over it by the time you get out there that they don't get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, and we try not to do that. So for me, it was one of those moments where everyone that had put so much work into it was on that bus, and we're all having a day. It was our day to be on the bus, just the small crew. Mm-hmm. And so we're coming back, and we know it's about to be over, and Jesse's out front, kind of, guiding the bus, spotting the bus.
Yeah.
And this sea walking.
Yeah, grip walking in his sandals, probably bleeding out of every toe, with his $2,000 jacket on. And,
not worth the $2,000 by the way.
I'm at the door, because the door didn't shut. So I'm at the door. A lot of times people would run up to the door while the bus is running, and we didn't like that. So I'd always kind of stand at the slider door. And this dude had clearly just woken up, and he had a long night the night before, and he's just trying to get to the bathroom. Yeah. And Jesse's just coming down from his night, and he goes, "What a beautiful day!" And the guy is just wants nothing to do with us, and Jesse just turns and football checks this dude into the side of the porta potty.
He was riding his bike too close to the bus, dude. It was a safety hazard.
And he just checks this dude.
I feel bad.
So
sorry, dude.
So
Dude,
I
it's
jump
so
off.
funny.
I
just
jump
wanna
off.
Share with you. Literally, I'm just cut you off real quick. Right before you said that, literally the thought I was having in my head was, God, Jesse's his energy's amazing. Can I just take your bone marrow and inject it into my body so I could enjoy life the way that you do? And I was thinking that thought, and then immediately the next thing you said was that he shoulder checked this guy into the
There was
porta
a lot
potty.
of energy in that hit. I mean, all that positivity.
Well, you can
gotta
tell that
come out somehow.
because I jumped off the bus there's a liability moment, right?
Yeah.
Get on the bus like someone's angry parent, right?
Yeah.
And as I'm running over there to kind of do damage control, Jesse helps the guy up, and he just starts laughing, and he goes, "Thank you so much for that. I needed that." So he did transfer that energy, and it was one of those cool. Maybe we should all start checking each other into the portos. But
It was a little aggressive, but it was well received.
I don't think we all have the ability to transfer our energy that way.
Yeah.
We know that, but Jesse does. So.
Jesse, you're welcome to just take me down right after we're done recording. That'd be amazing.
We'll leave the mics on. Arash, I got you.
Dude, has it seen it's just a random thought actually. Does anybody else get very nostalgic just using porta potties in general?
Absolutely, yeah.
I was just at the beach.
No.
I popped into the porta potty. It smells terrible. There's stuff everywhere. I mean, it's a disgusting place to be. And there's a moment of oh.
Well,
I mean, it definitely does remind you of it, but
Jesse and I work construction, so we get the opportunity to
do it all
experience
the
that
time.
every day.
Nostalgic is, that's putting it.
I've had this experience twice at Burning Man where I'm walking and I'm trying to figure out which porta potty to use. And, you open one, you're like, no. And then you try to open the next one, it's closed. Next one's closed. You open the next one, it's overhauled. And then I open the fifth one and there's somebody standing there furiously masturbating, aggressively jerking off.
Lucky you.
Excited to be caught.
Is
and
that part of your nostalgia?
Here's the thing. Both times,
that's it, huh?
Both times I've had the exact same reaction, which has been, oh, sorry, close and walk away, and took a couple of steps away before I realized what I just experienced.
Wow.
Sounds
I
like-
haven't had that.
Sounds like you're in the Prince bathroom.
Prince porta potty.
Oh yeah, we're gonna touch on that, right? Going back to that was during playground.
Yeah,
That
I think you're ready to circle back and
Yeah,
talk about playground
absolutely.
because you, for whatever reason, are very intrigued and want to know. I don't know. There's a lot of factors that are involved.
Well, here's why that's interesting to me specifically. We have had many episodes of this show where I've interviewed camp leads, and there is consistently this general experience that a lot of different camp leads have had, which is they start out, they have their first year, they get the bug, they're like, holy shit, this is fucking amazing. Next year they explode and go to this ridiculous number, and all of a sudden, they become all of a sudden 100%, 200% camp. And then they learn from that experience, oh, fuck this shit. Only X% of the people that show up are actually valuable contributors. So the reason that that's interesting to me is because I remember the last time that we interviewed, it was right when you were on the cusp of that experience of all of a sudden having this big explosive giant camp.
Sure.
Villaging with Carl Cox, like all of this. And I want to know, what I want to follow up on that story from the last episode. Like what was that like? What happened? What was the experience like?
We now have a 30-person camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the build up to the thing takes us back to the year before, right? So when we got into the war with them.
No. So I guess it just depends because a lot of times, obviously they've been around, right?
Yeah.
Carl Cox is a real burner, right?
Yeah,
He's the real
100%.
deal.
Yeah.
And he comes with a big crew, and that comes with a lot of responsibility. And after a certain point, you can't be responsible for everybody.
Yeah.
But so the year before, we had quickly made friends with a few of Carl Cox's close campmates. And they ended up hanging out at our camp. And it was our first year as Perky Parts. I think it was my, second or third year as a lead. We're figuring it out as we go. And we're never going to figure it out. So we've basically established this. But we had a lot of help that year. We had a really good shade structure with Jamie Sparks. We had my buddy, one of our best friends, Josh, who's an AV guy, help with our sound rig. So we had a legit camp. And, it was more impressive than we, it looked better than we were, right? And we are camped right behind Playground and Cox and their entire massive camp.
We had the bright idea of being a sound camp, and then we got put behind one of the biggest sound camps ever.
We wanted to be loud.
Legitimate sound camp.
And they let us be loud, but then you suffer the consequence of people that are louder than you. And,
Tents rattling the entire
time. It was
time.
tough. So at one point, they definitely turned their speakers in towards our camp instead of out towards the playa, which they're supposed to. And I think for a few of our campmates, that was an issue. But a lot of times, whenever there's an issue, you can get heat for it from an individual from camp. But if it's really an issue, they'll come over and they'll do the political kind of ambassador thing, and they'll say, "Hey, I'm the lead of this camp. Let me talk to the lead of that camp." So that did happen, and the lead came over, and it was one of Coxie's actual real life best friends.
Coxie? Is that what his friends call him?
That's what we're calling him now.
No, Coxie.
Is it Virgil?
No, it wasn't Virgil. No, it was I don't even know his name, honestly. The old school rocker English guy.
Okay.
So he came over and he's like, "Oh, hey, mate," and this isn't like one of a burner friend. This isn't one of his managers. This is his real life best friend, and this is what I like to deal with, right? And I think that's why
had to beat him to death with his own shoes.
it was.
That's the Wayne's World 2 reference.
It was one of those really important conversations that needed to happen, and so much kind of fulcrumed because of the way it turned out. So he came over and he said, "Hey, I understand a lot of your campmates are mad about the sound." And I remember trying to go to bed one of the nights and on my inflatable mattress, and to give you an idea of how loud it was, my air mattress is rattling around on the top of the mattress.
Oh my god!
So much air is moving through, and it is so loud. But we don't really. We're fine. We like the sound. We asked for it.
Yeah.
We brought it on ourselves. So he comes over, and he's an English gentleman, but he's also a really old school punk rocker, legit. He's a true legend, right?
Right.
He's one of Coxie's best friends. So he comes over. I don't know who he is, other than him and I had been kind of hanging out at the bar and drinking and talking shit on each other all a couple days. And he goes, "I understand some of your campmates don't like how loud it is from our camp." And I go, "No one's complained to me." And he goes, "Well, I just want to come over and apologize." Basically, it's not going to stop,
We're sorry, but fuck you.
So I said, "I'll find out who it is, and I'll tell them they can't camp here next year." And no one fessed up to it. So anyways, that conversation was, and then he went back and he's like, "Hey, they're cool."
Yeah.
And then Carl started coming over and hanging out at camp a little bit.
Yeah.
And then at one point, Lucas came over. He goes, "Don't panic now." And of course, I'm trying to DJ on a busted DJM mixer with no tables on it. And I'm just like, this sucks. All of our controllers are busted. Nothing's working. And Lucas comes by. He goes, "Don't panic, but Carl Cox is over there." And I look up and I just see him kind of toe tapping,
Yeah.
And I'm not doing anything special or at all. And I just run over. I'm like, "Hey, dude, you want to jump on?"
Yeah.
And I remember Carl, I don't know, he's probably a 300-pound dude. Gets on his tippy toes, and he kind of looks over to see what I'm spinning on. He goes, "Nah, man, I'm good on that." And I'm like, whatever. And he's laughing. Yeah. And anyway, he came over and he was hanging out, and we chatted for a minute. And I think he was just getting a feel because
Yeah.
like the guy, he goes, "Hey, they were cool. Keep the speakers pointed that way.
Right.
That guy's a rock star." Whatever he said. Obviously this is all in my head.
Yeah.
It's important to note that we were
amazing.
drawing massive crowds too. Like we were throwing some bangers.
We had some good parties that year for sure.
Yeah.
And a few
We had their intention.
a few floppers.
couple
Yeah.
duds. Couple
which,
duds.
which we do. But and then so after that, and then really like I think our camp was the place that everyone that was close with Carl, in Carl's real life would come over and kind of find sanctuary because we're the same people, right?
Yeah.
So about halfway through the week, Mel came over and she goes, "Hey, our camp really likes your camp. How'd you like to camp with us next year?" She threw it out there then, and I go, and it wasn't like a for sure yes. It was kind of like, well, we're going to talk about it. And at this point, I'm trying to create more of a democratic style camp, and I think we did throw it out there, and it was very mixed. It wasn't just let's 100% do it. There was a lot of things that were kind of thought about, and my main concern was I want this to be, I want to create the best experience I can for our camp. And if this isn't it, then we won't. Like, obviously, it's an opportunity. Yeah. But if we're sacrificing our own happiness to be a part of something bigger, it's not worth it for us. Yeah. So ultimately, and it was, I think we all ended up deciding that it was in our best interest to do that. And it wasn't an easy decision.
Yeah, well, Trav, you did a lot of the legwork on that, and I remember they were sending over, like schematics and exhibits and stuff on how they thought the layout was going to be. And when you see that there's this giant circus tent and shade, and it's like, yeah, dude, like I'm all about that.
Yeah,
what was that stage called?
The Afterburner.
Afterburner, man.
That stage was phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
So I just want to talk about just for scale, and Carl, as far as I know, pays for all this out of his own pocket. And I don't know if that's reality or not, but.
I know. I mean, I went to their fundraiser in San Francisco. They do some events.
So I'd hope so because you see, to move that because their entire crew. Yeah. Do you remember what they're called?
I don't, but I mean,
They worked hard.
They worked hard, and there was a couple guys that I met that literally were there just to build, and then they left after the build because they had to go to their next job. I was like, that's insane. You do all this work and don't get to enjoy it.
Yeah,
these guys were absolute maniacs, and it was rare that you ever get a chance to talk to one of them because they were building that stage the entire time we were there. Yeah. And they would come out, and most of them had never burned. I don't think a single one that I had ever met had burned. But they'd come to the bar, they'd ask for a drink, you'd hand them a drink, and they were just beat up, and they would go to bed. And they'd wake up, and they would work all day.
That's
through
nuts.
the winds, through everything. And
these are contract workers.
Yeah.
They're the set builders that Coxie hires to build the sets.
Right, okay.
And they're we're going to have to look it up, what the name of the crew is, but absolute legends.
They deserve recognition.
So the
If
time
you guys are listening, thank you.
They had 3
Respect.
different stages they were bringing. They had like the Spider, they had the Afterburner, and they had one more. But basically, these guys travel the world and build those sets. And I think if you asked any of them, that was probably the hardest they'd ever worked to build it. So just a committed team. And obviously, you see that and you know that that's coming from one person.
And Nav, I just remember him saying that he was hanging out with like their lead guy, and then the first night that the stage was up and people are dancing, he was crying. Like he was so proud.
I mean, it's such a rewarding.
I didn't even build it, and I cried.
This guy cries at every burn on Tuesday.
every Tuesday.
Or whatever day he thinks is Tuesday.
Yeah.
Which is
like to
every
give
day.
you an example, so one of the problems they were having, they were running all of their pyrotechnics off of liquid propane, and they brought out a bunch of tanks, right? Obviously, they were planning on shooting. It's called Afterburner. They were going to be shooting some fire. And they were having a hard time because the propane temperature was varying from cold at night to hot during the day. So they actually built like a jacuzzi underneath the stage and had the tanks in water because they could control the temperature of the water. Huh. So they went that far to keep the propane regulated.
I thought that was a urinal.
yeah. We know about you and the urinals, dude. Yeah. So I mean, they were having a hard time. The components and the lights, the dust was getting in there, so they figured out this bag system to keep, you know what I mean? They made it work. They really did.
That's why like Bryson and a lot of the guys will just bury their tanks. Yeah. Keep them insulated, and they won't freeze as easily. There's a lot of, burner hacks.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Scott Trailer burner hacks.
One of my favorite Burning Man memories of all time actually is when Christian, the aforementioned Perky Partzer who takes care of all the sound. He's a phenomenal fucking DJ, and we have shared his sets on this show as well as Alkaline. He's playing this excellent, fairly minimal techno set.
Yep.
Always minimal techno.
under the tents, like where the Perky Parts bar is. And then on the other side of the street is where the Afterburn stage is.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
And so it's like right around sunset. It's like it had just finished building or anything. And we're dancing and we're hanging out with Christian, and it's this like intimate, great thing. And then all of a sudden you hear boom, 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 like complete sound takeover from Afterburn. And we walk over to see what's going on, and it's Carl Cox doing a sound check. And it's like right at sunset.
Christian was pissed.
And he's having a blast. And we're like looking over at Christian. I'm like, oh, I fucking love you, but this is also fucking amazing. And I'm going to need to dance to this for a little bit. And you almost couldn't, though. It completely ate the sound. And then, like, it's just like me and 3 other campers. And then I think like somebody on their bicycle happens to be riding by, and they stop and they're like, is that Carl Cox? We're like, yeah. So he gets off and he starts dancing. So it's like a 45-minute Carl Cox private set for the 4 of us at sunset.
Very cool.
That was insane.
He does play a lot of sets.
Yeah.
Actually, that first year, he had come over, and you got to remember too, he has like 4 managers that you deal with depending on what logistical, kind of layer it falls into. So at one point, I think Mel had come over, and she had asked Navjeet and I if we wanted to close for Carl Cox.
Let me think about it.
And, we're like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And then actually he came over later that night, and he had recognized Navjeet and I. Navjeet's a little bit more recognizable than I am. And
you
we
don't
were
see too many. I mean, well, you do see some Sikhs out there, but he's one of the few.
Yeah. So we were both kind of, is this, like, after it happened, we were both kind of like, is this real? And we're like, this is going to be the best night ever.
Yeah.
And then we both missed the set because we were, in the moment somewhere
Can't
else.
pace ourselves.
So we ended up coming back to Playground.
That sounds like some self-sabotage.
And Coxie's spinning.
Yeah.
And we went back there in the middle of his set, and we're like trying to apologize to him. Hey, we're so sorry we missed it. And he stops what he's doing and looks up from his deck. And he goes, "Oh, mate, I was so messed up. I missed my own set last night." And Nav and I just look at each other and kind of say, "Cool. So let's do it again.
Right.
We'll do it again tonight." And he's just like, "Let's do it again tonight." So yeah. Anyway, that was a fun moment, and we never got an opportunity to do that again.
Yeah.
The next year when he did his Prince party at like 9 in the morning,
Yeah, that was
he was
great.
coming off.
I was just coming home.
and one of the managers came over, and we're trying to work the bar, and it's it's that hour, it's the witching hour where it's like we're either going to go down or we're going to be up for another day kind of thing. And we usually choose the up for another day thing, and this was that exact moment. So one of the managers came over, and she said, "Hey, someone needs to go on after." And I was thrashed, and we're looking around, everyone's thrashed, except for our buddy Wet Hand Dan, who goes, "I'll do it." So he runs over, and he's he's big in Orange County. He's one of our favorite dudes. One of our favorite DJs, and he's just an all around good guy. And it was exciting that he got to be there and experience the Coxie, and for that kind of 1 year we had it. And so he just lights up, and he runs over and goes, I got this. So Cox jumps off, Wet Hand Dan jumps on. Carl had stuck around for like 3 or 4 songs and was like doing the head bob and tapping his foot thing. And that's one of the highlights of Dan's life.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Dan did really
sure.
good though, man. He came on, was playing some good music.
Yeah.
He was dropping some stuff. That was a great moment, man. So we were talking about gelling and how that is. That was one of those things where you're like, this is working.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we had moments of, them accusing this guy of stealing, all that kind of crap, all that camp stuff you're going to run into, right? No, that's my booze and this is my thing. And somebody kept squirting people with the little water squirter, and one of their guys was pissed about that. And, you get all that little stuff, but then you get these moments that you just go, man, like that's it.
Yeah.
Wet Hand Dan, man, that's funny. It's one of my other favorite Burn memories, not at Burning Man, but at Utopia in San Diego, was the night that he did the
hip hop set.
Yeah, the 90s R&B and hip hop set.
Yeah. So
that dance floor just.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot he even went.
We definitely did kind of like one of those home field advantage things
Yeah.
because that was another thing we wanted to be the big sound stage, and they put us right in front of Monarch.
Yeah.
So we were just getting out thumped all weekend, and this is like my little home kit, like my
This is at
speakers that I bought.
Utopia in San Diego for listeners. Clarification.
And so we knew we weren't going to be competing. We weren't trying to compete. We never try to
Yeah.
compete with anybody else. We're just trying to present an experience that might be new or
Sure.
something different, right? And I think everyone tries to do that, but we knew that there would be a lot of electronic music played that weekend, and I just kind of told Crass and Dan, I said, hey, and they're both massive hip hop dudes. I said, at some point tonight, like, we're gonna be playing hip hop.
Right.
I'll give you the wink.
Yeah.
So we're throwing a party, and it's just kind of dead. And there's, I don't know, maybe no one there.
He was playing. Well, he was playing techno, and it was. I remember it. It was excellent.
Yeah.
But I was also the one person on the dance floor.
Yeah.
I was literally the one person.
Besides our members of the camp,
You
there was
would,
no
like,
one there.
You would like scurry out from the tent shadows, like from the forest, and then like go back.
Yeah.
Like move a little bit and then go back into the shadows.
Yeah. So Utopia is one of my favorites, especially that venue. And just the people there are San Diego Burners in general, I think are, we've talked about this last podcast. Nothing's changed. I think our camp's really in tune and similar to a lot of the LA Burner qualities. And, like we're drawn to that. So we kind of knew that at some point it would need to be hip hop. And within seconds, I kind of give Chris and Dan the look, and I go, hip-hop time.
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. Like, you guys can vouch for this. There was no one within, like, a mile radius of our camp, and the minute they started playing hip-hop, you
was
could not
packed.
walk in
Yeah.
our camp.
No, dance floor exploded.
Yeah.
And I remember we had to take layers of clothing off because there was so much body heat.
Yeah.
I remember that. You
Yeah.
had your dumb mink coat on. $2,000 mink coat.
Dude, I
remember taking it off of you, and it was just steam coming off of it.
Yeah.
I was like, man.
Dude, like security staff stopped, like they parked. They're all dancing.
That's
I mean, like
right.
half of Utopia was there. This is a 3,500
Yeah.
person regional event, and it was without a
People
doubt.
would not, if they were walking by, they didn't just continue
Yeah.
to keep walking.
Yeah.
They went into our camp.
Yeah.
It was
'Cause
amazing.
It was playing. It played. He played a lot of the music that, like, I would hear at prom.
Sure.
But now I was with my cool weirdo friends and not like the assholes from high school.
Yeah.
We ended up kind of getting there was some repercussions from that, right? Later on with Utopia, because they're like, you guys throw way too big of parties, you block the road.
Yeah. We had to
That
keep-
wasn't that party.
That was the year before.
That was the year
right?
before.
So actually, that year that we're talking about with the hip hop was we were being punished that year. So we were under surveillance, and they said no music between, I don't know, we'll say midnight and 5 a.m., which we did anyway, and it was fine. But
Because I think we were technically not a sound camp, right?
right. So the way Utopia works is you basically have to qualify, or you have to apply, and you have to do all, you have to show up for meetings and stuff to apply for a sound permit or whatever. And we didn't do that the first year, and we had the best time. That was when we met Lindsay with the Giraffe and a bunch of our other friends, lifetime friends, Christian on the Rhino.
Oh, yeah.
God, Christian and the Rhino, man. Wow.
Stories we can't talk about. But, that's one of those places where it's intimate enough that you'll meet people there, and you'll only see them there.
Yeah.
And then, they're your lifelong friends. So, and we were having that. And, we had a fun camp. And the first year we obeyed the rules with no speakers. You got people who I won't name that are coming in with pink hair and going, the drinks are delicious, but the sound quality is terrible. Because it's like we just put a block rocker under the bar, because we don't want to violate any rules.
Yeah.
And so next year we're like, well, this is bullshit. So they told us not to bring sound. We brought sound anyway. And then we ended up having an issue with traffic flow. And that was a year someone who had already had a pre-existing heart condition had a heart condition out there and passed away.
Yeah.
And it was a sad 3 days. Like, it kind of, I don't think anyone fully recovered from that.
Yeah.
And
Community's still talking about that.
and there was a lot of, I don't know, I'm not going to say guilt, but there was a lot of, it came back on us later because there was an ambulance coming through,
Right.
and there was just hordes of people in the street.
Yeah.
And they weren't moving. So we're
Where
all
you
out
were
there.
placed that year was like the little tight space to get through.
Yeah, it was it was like right at a curve, you know,
And we-
and
That
right
big
between,
campus up there
yeah,
on top.
right between it's got a lot of flow going through there.
Yeah, and we knew that. That's kind of a pinch point, which is why we liked it, and we always requested that spot.
Yeah, because you get a lot of traffic.
One of those years, the Rhino broke down there, and no cars can get around it, and then everyone just partied at our camp. We're like, this is
Yeah,
the best
that's
spot.
right.
So, of course, it backfired the next year when an ambulance is trying to get through, and we're in the street pushing people out of the way, like cattle movers.
Yeah, physically moving.
And the ambulance is just crawling. And we know it's bad because when the ambulance is about to run people over, you know it's bad, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to get it, and no one's moving, and we're just kind of like, what do we do, you know? So later, one of the event coordinators came over and, you know, kind of said, what are you guys doing? You guys broke a bunch of rules. You know, there will be repercussions or whatever. So the next year they punished us by putting us next to Monarch, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of those things. There's a lot of political things that go on, and we don't. You know, normally we stay on the good side of politics, and you know, it helped having a buddy who was a city planner,
Right.
and then they just, you know, like they just kind of burn you. They don't really appreciate the sound camps more than they'll appreciate and I can't get mad at them, right? It's like we're a sound camp, and I know other sound camps that have come through there and had very short success because they want different ideas of creativity.
Right.
Different outlets, you know, like, I don't know, like bring your leather jacket and we'll stud it for you, or what. They just want more interactive things that aren't music, and I can't get mad at them for that. So after that year, we kind of started getting put in the corner, and it requires a lot of work for us to do that. So we
Right.
just kind of went away. But
Yeah, then the Utopia kind of quieted down the year after that anyway. Had a much smaller version.
I think they moved locations, right?
Yeah. And then, COVID.
COVID.
Yeah. I want to kind of put a cap on the last subject that we were discussing, and just we're kind of nearing the end of our chat here. The year prior to villaging with Playground, you had how many people?
So
40?
for me, my magic number is always 40.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that year was how many?
Okay, so I just want everyone that's ran a camp can relate to this.
Yeah.
So everybody's gonna want to camp with you to start, right? You're who? You camp with so and so. So that year, I think, and my number doesn't move. My number is always 40.
Right.
And so
number.
the year before it was 40. It was perfect. Obviously, some things happened that weren't perfect, but you know, it's like my rule is if I can't scream at you personally because you're not it's like I want to know everyone in there. We're building friendships. We're not building camp. We've talked about this last time.
We have a chant that says we're still friends, and we chant that because if you can,
At the end of the burn.
yeah, if you can make it through the week
Yeah.
and still be friends, like success.
That's cute.
That's a cool
Yeah.
moment too when you're all
Yeah.
holding hands, skipping to burn night.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
We're still
So far, we've
friends.
only lost one friend, right? And it's the
Yeah.
guy who pulled the gun on me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we're
that's-
still sad about that because he was a contributor and he was an awesome dude and he just hit that breaking point, you know.
Yeah.
But so that year was 40, and actually the reason we scaled down is because we learned the hard way. And you know, we've been going to Lightning in a Bottle, and we've been doing events for a long time.
Yeah.
And that just kind of
Right,
seems
right.
like a magic number because we want everyone to be close. We don't want a bunch of randoms. And with our group, especially, if everyone's open and outgoing and friendly, you could probably go a little bigger.
Yeah.
But I know how our friends are. We're not the warmest welcomers for the most part.
Well, and I mean, then sometimes you get
Not
the
at all
ones
the experience
that
I've
like
had.
say they want to camp with you, but then you don't see them the whole week. So like we don't
Yeah.
want them at our camp anyways. Then if you're not at our parties, if you're not going to contribute, then we don't need you. Like
Right.
you're just using us as a place to raise your
something that's
rest
worth
your head.
mentioning as well is like there's a comfort at that level.
Mm-hmm.
Like our girls are always our girls,
Yeah.
and we've never really had that problem with the creepy guys. And you hear this stuff, like so that number or keeping it tight, like Trav's saying,
Mm-hmm.
like it's an intimacy that's been built that is sacred in some
Right.
some respect,
Yeah.
and it's great. And everybody feels safe and listen, if you don't belong there, it shows up really quickly.
Right.
It's pretty easy to spot the guy, like Fleischwater guy. Shout out.
There's not
Rest
enough
in
time
peace.
for that.
Rest in peace, Andy.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, and we do have people come in. There'll be like a recommendation from another camp. Hey, I'm sending so and so because
Yeah.
it's
Can my
so-and-so's
priest dad come camp with you?
ex-boyfriend or that.
Yeah.
And like that does work out. And there is I'll be in my head. I'm like, oh man, like this girl is gonna sink or swim, right? Like there's no training wheels there at all.
Yeah.
We don't have showers. Like we don't give people a lot. And there's people that will come through. They'll, especially after the Carl Cox camp.
We don't give people a lot.
So that's an understatement.
Yeah.
People will come. People will approach me and they'll say, "Hey, I want to camp with you," and that's pretty common, right? Just random people from like Germany will say and they'll post their resume of skills.
Yeah, they come in a lot through the Instagram.
And they'll be like, "I'm a carpenter by trade, and my wife is a hairstylist, and we're gonna do all these things." And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like we just can't, because my numbers. It's not like we don't want you. It's just mentality is we're all responsible for each other,
Right.
and I don't want to be liable for a stranger.
Yeah.
And we have let people in the past show up and park at our camp and accepted them, and it's worked out really well for
Yeah,
us.
we've been lucky.
Gemma.
I honeymooned we met them at the burn because they just parked, and then we hit it off, and
Yeah.
They
And
were
then we're
going
on
around
honeymoon with
camp picking up trash. No one was asking him to do it. It was like amazing, you know? That's what you should be doing if you're just like jumping in someone's camp. They were at all of our parties, you know, and
yeah,
then
they're awesome, lifelong
become
friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, to really like hit on your question, consistently 40. That's my number. The year before that, we camped with some people that didn't go well. I think there was like 150 of us.
Oh, wow.
But my number was 50, and then he was going to bring his 100,
Right.
and he didn't manage his 100 at all. So I said, we're not going to do that again.
Yeah.
And then we had our 1 year of 40, and then we went to Carl Cox camp,
Yeah.
and they had I think 200, and I think we had
was
75,
Wow. Okay.
which is way too big
Yeah.
for me. And there's people, and you got to remember too, the minute you get to that point, everyone wants to camp with you because they see where you're placed.
Right.
So
right.
that we call them shoppers, right? They'll go, well, what are you going to give me? What are your camp dues? What are you going to give me?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you really, when you break it down, we don't charge that much. Like we're not making any money.
Yeah.
And what was unfortunate about the Coxie year is, I think our camp dues were like $100.
Yeah, it's ridiculously low.
Yeah.
But we don't give a lot. Like that all went to booze.
Civic
Yeah, you get a bag
responsibility.
of
Bring
ice,
your own
maybe.
shit.
In the
So
morning,
our entire
maybe.
camp dues went to booze, right? Like
Yeah.
we'll say it was like $3,000 in booze. So we bring out booze, and then right before the first night, one of Carl's managers pulls me aside. He goes, "Hey, here's the combo to the booze." And I go, "You guys brought booze?" And there's 3 U-Hauls parked beside each
Wow.
other, big
Holy
ones,
Shit.
Oh yeah.
full
was
of booze.
insane.
Every
Packed.
single, whatever you want. There's kegs. There's
Wow.
hard, like there's like Grey Goose.
Whatever
and-
you want.
And I go, dude, we blew our entire load on like 6 handles of vodka.
More than 6. I mean,
Way more than
we brought
6.
so much booze.
We did bring a lot of booze. Yeah.
So
I had
much.
I had a power drill with a drywall paddle, so I can mix 5 gallons at a time of jungle juice.
With the
and,
shittiest booze.
trying
And
to
we're like,
keep up.
dude, we could have spent that money elsewhere.
Yeah.
When you have 3 fucking truckloads of liquor.
Yeah, we took booze home.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I took
Seriously, couldn't drink it
prime
all.
ribs home. Like they had an entire meat locker of stuff that no one took. So we were just,
Yeah.
Anyway. So our number was 75 that year. And the same thing happened. Like you just can't manage that many people.
Yeah.
And there's people that, like are missing their shifts. Like, like we put everyone to work.
Right.
There's no plug and play. And I think part of why the Carl camp was so kind of enthused to have us over is because they were under that turnkey
Yeah.
stigma. And their idea was, and this is brilliant, was we're going to invite this like low life slum camp in with us
Accurate. Yes.
because they're, and to give ourselves a little credit, like we're, like quote unquote real burners. We're not like a turnkey camp, we'll say.
Yeah.
So they saw that in us. They said, hey, these guys will be the face and we'll hide all the turnkeys in the back. And that's what they did.
Yeah, oh yeah. They had motorhomes and their showers and stuff.
They had
full
guys setting up
shower.
everything for them. You show up and
Full showers.
They never even let me use it.
Their
They had
camp
a full
dues were
shower.
like-
I never even got to use it.
up to $10,000 or expensive, right? Depending on what kind of package you wanted.
Yeah.
So they were definitely like the turnkey stigma. And we
Yeah.
prevented it that year. But I think just
You brought the street cred.
logistically.
For sure, for
did.
sure. And they gave us like at Front Street, we had the bar, right? And we created all the games, and we had the little stage
That's a
underneath
fascinating tactic.
the shit. It was. They
Did
created
it
a
work?
cool
I
dynamic.
don't think so because I know the next year they were solo, and I know that unless it's like I've never heard of a village coming together and having it work well.
Yeah.
Maybe you have an experience where you know better.
I have not interviewed. I've interviewed people that have worked together a lot, but I don't think I've ever gotten like too deep into the village experience.
Well, I mean, overall, our experience was fine. It was good.
Yeah.
There's just certain people on both ends that like will do something wrong.
right.
It's just too many people to manage. At that point, we were 275 people. So when you look at it from that perspective, it takes one person to do something wrong.
Yeah.
And I know at one point, like, they had their own kitchen, and they had these little tokens around their neck. That's how you knew that you were, like, with the camp.
Right.
So, like, people would come up to the bar, and they'd ask for a drink, and we would card them, and they would just throw their hair back and pull out a token from their neck.
Yeah.
And I'd say, really cool, I still need an ID, you know, and they'd get pissed at me. And we had an issue where they kind of have their own private kitchen, and I told our camp right away, I said, hey, don't go in the kitchen. That's their kitchen. They had a full 24-hour chefs.
Yeah, everything.
Like, legit. If you can go there anytime
I
and
never
order a
ate
meal.
there one time, man. I keep hearing about this.
So I got gifted a token.
Yeah.
One of, the old English rock star gave me a token. He goes, "You're the man. We really love you. Thank you so much." Like, real cat.
Yeah.
And I never used it. I said I never going to use it. Like, this is where I camp. This is my crew. I don't cross over the line.
He also doesn't eat much the whole week.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
You guys get a cup of noodle?
So at one point, there was some weird, and you never know when there's that many people. You just know that something had happened, right? There was a weird energy, and I couldn't figure it out. And then the rock star guy came over and he goes, "Hey, mate. So allegedly, one of your campmates, my English accent's about as good as Jesse's Australian accent.
Yeah.
But he's basically, he said, one of your guys came into our kitchen.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what? He goes, that's what I said. So what? But everyone's pissed about it. I go, well, who's pissed? Who was it? Because I told my entire camp not to do it, and I guarantee it wasn't anyone at my camp.
No.
Knowing that if it was 40 people, I
Yeah.
can guarantee that. But I can't get, like, with 75 people, it might have been someone in our camp. I'll never know. And I did slice a lot of people that year. There was people that were hitting us up. A lot of times people that know where you're camped,
Right.
they'll show up on play and say, hey, can we camp with you? It's like, dude,
Yeah.
we've been planning this for months. You can't just show up. And a lot of times it's people that are trying to avoid duties.
Right.
And you learn that right away. One of the guys was a dishwasher at that Wookiee camp. Help me out.
Just don't name it.
Okay, better off that way.
The unnamed
But
Wookiee camp.
he's basically like, oh, I would go camp with them, but their camp dues are like $150, and they make me do dishes.
Mm.
And I'm like, so you're getting put to work?
Yeah.
So he shows up at our camp, doesn't pay camp dues. Every day he's getting handed ice, he's getting meals, he's getting drinks. And we were personal friends in the real world. It's a rare, like, Orange County burner that I knew from our growing up together.
Right.
And we're not cool after that. He's just like, he just took advantage and really, like, showed his true colors about who he is. And, like, moving forward as an adult, it's just like, you took advantage of us because we were, we're in a great spot.
Yeah.
And the minute we're somewhere else, he's gone. He's somewhere else, and he's doing the same thing. He's shopping. He's window shopping.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say after the year we camped with Carl, the same thing. A lot of people were like, they'd wait until we get placed.
Yeah.
And if you get good placement, they'll be interested. But the minute, like, we get placed on,
So true.
I think we're on this is my favorite year of all time. It was the year after Coxie. We
Yeah.
didn't have any art car. It was really, like, the only year in recent years we didn't have an art car. And they put us all the way back. That was the year you were having really bad migraines.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Heavily
because
early.
you weren't getting constant minor headaches from camping with us. Just one big one for missing us so much.
Yeah.
But we were on the furthest street back. I think we're at like 630 and F,
Yeah.
whatever the last street is.
Yeah, you got
And,
banished.
If you were going back there, you were coming back there to see us.
Yeah.
And we were actually behind Humano.
Humano.
Yeah.
Shout out to Humano.
No shout out to
peace.
Humano.
No, R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P., dude. We outlasted you.
Burn in hell.
We outlasted you and your whole crew. But we were kept next to them. Obviously, no good came from that. People were marching through our camp. People stealing our bikes. Thousands of people. And they got shut down like the second night, so they couldn't even do anything after that. But
Wow.
at that point, anyone was back there. They weren't just wandering through. Like, you're not getting lucky with, like, traffic. If someone's at our camp, it's because they want to be there with us, and that
Right.
was a cool thing to be able to really, like, to know who's out there to hang out with you in your company, and that's a good feeling. And if it were up to me, we'd camp all the way back there all the time because it was just such, like, you're not into it, huh? She's shaking her head.
I was like, no.
It is far. If
It
you're
was
trying
far.
to get back to camp, and you got to remember too, we're pedaling our asses
Yeah,
that year.
yeah.
So, like, if you leave Deep Playa, it's going to take you an hour
Oh, man.
plus to get back to your
Brutal.
camp.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the fun. That's part of the charm in being back there. So, and that's the camp. That's the year that everyone just gets off. They get to Playa, and they park right away, and they want to camp with you.
Yeah.
So we had to kick out nonstop all week. Just sorry, can't camp here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone thinks it's open camping back there.
So you still had shoppers showing up, just very different kinds.
Well, and the
Yeah.
thing is, we had placed our cars all the way around the perimeter, and cars are still getting in there somehow. So
it's amazing.
anyway, that was just aesthetically, I think it was our best year. Lucas did a really gorgeous piece behind our stage. We sounded great. That was the first year I think we brought the big sound out. And our themes that year were really fun. Like everyone got into it, and it was very low. I'm gonna say low stress.
Right.
And those don't exist when you have big art cars. And I'm not gonna say, like you need to have those years.
Yeah.
You're allowed to go back out there and take a year off and like relax, and then you get motivated and then go back. So I think between Jesse and I, it was nice to have these last 2 years off because we were so burned out on just. I didn't want to look at the bus ever again, and I'm impressed that he was able to go drive the bus yesterday because I told him I was like, I'm never driving this bus again. I don't ever want to see it again. I'm never bringing an art car back out to Playa again. And now that it's been 2 years, it's like let's fucking do it.
That is
Forget.
absolutely the most excellent possible work back around on our story.
Yeah.
Full
and
circle.
a cap to our conversation. Well done, sir. That was a really good reach around. Right. Hey, thank you for all the shit that you put up with to create community for us to enjoy these experiences, and thank you for bringing the art car. I had an amazing time on it. The little bit of time that we did spend on there.
Was it worth it for you guys?
Hell yeah. No comment.
Yeah.
My answer
I'm
is
still working on it, dude.
My answer is
that
still no, for sure.
Yeah, my answer is no, man. It's not worth it.
Well,
and I'll
we'll
do it
see.
again if that makes any sense. Like, I'll
Yeah.
do it every single
It
time.
wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
And it's never worth
For
it.
us.
Yeah.
And like people will pull you aside and they'll say like weird things, and it's hard to believe them really,
Yeah.
because they'll say this is my favorite art car, and they'll be crying to you, and you'll laugh, and you'll look around at like other art cars that are
Are they
so
blind?
better. And you have a hard time taking them seriously, but they're being serious.
Yeah.
And they really do like your car, and you just kind of have to kind of get like really, because they're going through something really emotional at
Right,
that
right.
point. You can't just blow it off and say, like, screw you, like
Yeah.
you sarcastic biatch. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you like it.
Yeah.
We put a lot of work into it, and that's what you have to say, and that does help.
It's the truth.
tremendously, but
Literally, the truth helps. Yeah, that makes sense.
it's not always easy to swallow.
It's hard to take acknowledgement too. I mean, you're beaten raw, and you're standing
You're-
there.
you're
And someone's
beyond
being
it.
genuine. Someone's
Right.
being genuine and like, dude, thank you, or the sound is great, this and that. You're just like,
And you're used to being
shut
snarky all
up.
week.
Yeah, you think it's sarcasm. You
Yeah.
just don't even want to hear it. The receptors are closed.
Yeah.
But
Fuck,
to
you gotta
Trav's
switch to
point,
sincerity.
when the dust settles, literally, you get home, kind of sinks in, and you go, fuck, you know what? That was pretty epic.
Reach deep down and find that one fuck that you have left to give and
Yeah.
give it to that person.
Yeah, yeah, you do. That's
There
a
you go.
fact.
As
That-
Brian Baker said, amen to that.
Amen to that. All right. Let's take us out. Thank you. Thank you all so
Yeah,
much. This has
absolutely.
been
Thank you.
absolutely fantastic. You are now listening to the sounds of Guta Certa. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think it's Brazilian. The set that you're hearing was recorded on Thursday of Burning Man 2019. You can find him over at soundcloud.com/Guta-Certa. That's spelled GUTTO-SERTA. Please leave us a review on iTunes or on your podcast platform of choice, and message us if you want to support the show by contributing in any fashion. You are always invited to pitch interviews in your neck of the woods. All of these links are over at burnerpodcast.com, where you'll also find links to Alkaline, Build to Burn, Into the Fire, and Music.bm. This episode was produced by myself, Travmo, thank you, sir, and Burner Podcast producer Louis Gallipo in Bermuda. Our opening theme music is America's Horse with No Name Remix. It is produced by Joman. He is over at soundcloud.com/DJ Joman. So until next time, love, light, and all that other crap. Take us out. Guta Certa.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
¿Qué será del sol cuando la noche caiga? Cuando la noche caiga. Ay, ¿qué será? ¿Qué será de esa alondra sin árbol donde anidar en plena oscuridad? Ay, ¿qué será? ¿Qué será del sol cuando la noche caiga? Cuando la noche caiga, pero en lo hondo renacerá un arco iris de libertad, mostrando la claridad to you. You
long and so many sweet goodbyes. Sunrise wakes me up the glowing pink and orange sky. As the first rays of light touch the earth, I roll around and sigh. 'Cause it's been a while since the night that we've met eyes. Oh, so far for so long and so many sweet goodbyes.
Drift away and sleep. Too
nothing is impossible. Nothing's a chore. Black is the night, black is all I see. Some story lights are shining down me. Black is the night, black is all I see. Black is the night, black is all I see. Black is the night, black is all I see. Black is all I see. Black is all I see.
burnerpodcast.com.